Okay, students, to draw the wall section, we already had a video to explain the concept of the wall section. Of course, I'll be here if anybody has any questions. But the thing is, now we need to start drawing this to make it part of our construction documents for our set of plans for the house. So I please understand that at this point, you're really just going to be copying the wall section, but at the same time, I need you guys to understand the wall section, what it is, all the concepts, the notes, the meanings of everything. And again, I am available for any questions. Okay, so to start drawing the wall section, you actually have a part of it drawn already. If you may remember, you drew something like this already as part of your foundation plan, specifically the footing details. So there's no reason to reinvent the wheel when you can just simply use your own drawing to start drawing up the wall section. And like I said, you already have a portion of it drawn. You already have the footing details, of course, if you kept up with your assignments. So what I would do is I would open the foundation plan. Simply open the foundation plan. I borrowed this from a student. Okay. So open the foundation plan. Since you already have a portion of the wall section drawn, which is really this guy right in here, okay, you can just use this. If you notice, it's the exact same thing that we have over here on our wall section, except it's mirrored. So we'll go ahead and mirror it here in a little bit. Okay. So I would just simply open your foundation plan, save as, save it under your appropriate folder, and I would just call it wall section. Um, and we're going to try to do this too. Let's call it wall section and building elevations. Okay, we're going to start building elevations next week. So this drawing we're going to create is going to be for both. It's going to be the wall section and building elevation safe. Okay. So now that we have a brand new file, of course, don't overwrite your foundation plan. That one stays. You need to start working with your wall section. Okay. So first things first, of course, you really don't need this information. You can leave it there or just erase it, but we don't need the foundation plan. And I don't need this view either. So once again, you can even leave them there if you want to. You can use them for reference or just erase them. This is what I'm after. This is what I'm after. Okay. So I'm going to just move this up a little bit for myself. And like I said, it doesn't have to be drawn this way. It's just my personal preference. I'm just going to go ahead and mirror it so that I can look at it this way. But if you were to mirror this whole drawing and leave it the other way, it really doesn't matter. It's just as long as it's drawn to represent the wall section, as long as it has all the components and notes, it really doesn't matter which orientation. I'm just going to mirror it just because I want to. So using the mirror command, that's just going to simply mirror everything and continue from there. Now here, everything else stays the same. It is a 1 foot thickness footing. It is 2 feet here, but remember, this one at one point you guys actually drew it at 2x4 because that's really the only information you had at that point. So you drew it at 2 inches by 4 inches. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing though is that now that we know the actual sizes, I'm going to erase that sole plate and draw it to the size it actually needs to be, 1.5 by 3.5. Okay. 1.5 by 3.5. So, and as far as layers, you can pretty much use the same layers. They work really well. I want you guys to basically use the object line layer. So there's really no layers to create. You're just making a save as of an original drawing. So you just use the object lines for all your lines to represent the wall studs and everything. The hatch patterns, the insulation, just go ahead and use the hatch layer, which is magenta, and just use that for all the other annotations. So for your insulation, the little X on the sole plates and double headers and all that, and hatch patterns, pretty much just use those. Really, it's just going to be those two layers of the object lines and hatch, and then of course your dimensions for your dimension styles. Okay. So then from there, now that we have the actual sizes here, I would then start drawing off this at 3.5 inches this way, and the 1.5 inches. You always, for the most part, you always want to draw things to actual size because that way you'll get a really good idea of what things are actually supposed to be. Okay. And then again, we can come back in here and draw the little lines to represent the sole plate and then just match properties. And then this needs to be 10 feet in height. Sorry, I keep going back to that one. It is 10 feet to the top. Oh, I never talked about the double top plate, but nonetheless, it's two 2x4 studs that are sandwiched together. So to the top of the double top plate, the 2x4s, it's going to be 10 feet. So I'm not going to demonstrate too much more, 10 feet. And then I'm going to take this foundation, offset at 10 feet, and then I can go ahead and extend my wall stud up to the top. If I can get to it. Extend boundary edge up to here. I'm going to extend that line and that line, so that boundary edge, and start drawing up my wall section. Okay. And then after all that is done, I need you to put it on the appropriate title block. Okay. So please ask your teacher, myself, what title block to be using. It might be a B size, it might be a C size. So please ask. But nonetheless, I need you to then start creating your viewports. You should have a wall section in here. And then the wall section, you will then set it to the appropriate scale. You get to pick the scale you want that fills in the wall section. And I kind of drew it rectangular here in shape because that's really where the wall section is going to be. In here, the rest of the sheet is where we're going to be fitting in our building elevations that we're going to be doing on our next lesson. Okay. But once again, once you pick the wall section scale, you're going to go ahead and put the scale in there. And then you're going to have to go back to your scale factors and start looking at the scale factors and use your scale factor for your dimension styles, text heights, all of that. I really don't need to demonstrate because you guys should know how to do that. But nonetheless, that's what we need to do for our wall section. I can tell you right now, this is probably not going to be the scale that we're going to be using. The original scale on the footing detail, I think it was like a 3/4 of an inch equals a foot or something. I can tell you right now, it probably is not going to be that same scale. So you will have to figure out your new scale factor. Don't forget that once you get your scale factor, you're going to have to go in there and apply the scale factor, whatever that is. And for some of you are still not using the multi-leaguer correctly, but the multi-leaguer should also have a scale factor too. So on the multi-leaguer, you should also have different styles with different scale factors also. Okay. So you should have a scale factor in your multi-leaguers, and you should also have that scale factor, which will be the same scale factor once you figure it out for your wall section on your dimension styles. Okay. That should not sound Chinese. If you're having an issue with that, please ask me. But again, I do need you guys to start using the appropriate scale factor. Other than that, I need a wall section done by the deadline whenever that deadline is assigned. Thank you very much.